I couldn't stop thinking about my parents. All my life, their deaths had been a closed chapter, tragic, sudden, unquestioned. A drunk driver. A rainy night. An accident no one survived. That was the story, repeated so often it became truth. Or at least, something close enough to truth that I never looked underneath it. Now I couldn't see anything else. I drove into town just after sunrise, the folder of wire transfers locked in my glove compartment like a secret that burned through metal. I wasn't going to confront my family, not yet. I needed facts, not accusations. And there was only one place left that might still hold them. The county records office. The woman at the front desk barely looked up as I asked for archived accident reports from 20 years ago. I gave my parents' names, my hands steady even as my chest tightened. She typed for a long moment, frowned, then typed again. "That's strange," she said. My stomach dropped. "What is?" "There's a gap," she replied. "The initial police report exists. But the supplemental investigation file. It was sealed." "By whom?" She hesitated, then lowered her voice. "By court order. Requested by an attorney on behalf of a private party." An image flashed in my mind, my grandfather's neat handwriting, the wire transfers, the missing pages. I thanked her and walked out before my legs gave out. Outside, my phone buzzed. A text from Margaret. "You need to stop digging. Some truths don't belong to you." I stared at the screen, my hands shaking now, anger finally overtaking fear. She wasn't denying it. She was warning me away from it. I drove next to the old bridge where the accident supposedly happened. The guardrail had been replaced years ago, but the road still curved too sharply, the drop still steep. I parked and stepped out, the wind cutting through my coat, carrying the echo of everything I'd never been told. A man stood near the edge of the road. Older. Grey hair. County maintenance uniform. He watched me for a long moment before speaking. "You're Henry Whitmore's granddaughter," he said. My heart slammed into my ribs. "Yes. I wondered when you'd come," he said quietly. "Your grandfather paid me to keep my mouth shut. But he also said, if you ever asked, I was supposed to tell you." My breath caught. "Tell me what?" He looked down at the road, then back at me. "That night. It wasn't an accident. Another car forced them off. I saw it. I gave a statement. It disappeared. The world went silent. Who was driving the other car?" I whispered. He hesitated, eyes filled with something like regret. "I never saw the driver's face," he said. "But I saw the license plate. And I gave it to your grandfather." I staggered back, gripping the hood of my car. My grandfather hadn't just buried the truth to protect the family. He had buried it to protect me. As I stood there, my phone buzzed again, this time with an email from Eleanor. Emergency hearing scheduled tomorrow morning. They were forcing a decision. And now I was standing at the edge of a truth so dangerous that even my grandfather had feared what would happen if it ever surfaced. Because if I brought this into the courtroom, it wouldn't just expose the inheritance fight, it would expose a crime someone in my family was desperate to keep hidden. I didn't tell Eleanor everything that night. Some truths were too volatile to release without a plan, and this one could detonate everything. If I accused my own family of being connected to my parents' deaths without airtight proof, I wouldn't just lose the case. I'd lose credibility. And once that was gone, the rest of the story would die with it. The emergency hearing was scheduled for 9 a.m. I arrived early, sitting alone in a cold hallway that smelled like old paper and anxiety. Margaret arrived 10 minutes later, composed as ever, dressed like grief itself had never touched her. She didn't look at me. She didn't have to. Her confidence filled the room. Eleanor leaned in and whispered, They're pushing for a temporary conservatorship. They want the court to limit your control until the investigation is complete. In other words, they wanted me silenced. The judge took the bench, and Daniel Price began speaking smoothly about concerns, instability, erratic behavior fueled by grief. He painted me as a confused young woman overwhelmed by loss and inheritance. Margaret dabbed at her eyes at all the right moments. When it was Eleanor's turn, she didn't argue emotion. She presented facts. The notarized transfers. The independent evaluations. And finally, the letter. The judge's expression changed as he read it. "Ms. Whitmore," he said to Margaret, "were you aware your father contacted this court prior to his death?" Margaret stiffened. "No, Your Honor." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Then how do you explain the timing of your motion?" Silence. For the first time, doubt crept into the room. The judge denied the conservatorship request. Not permanently, but enough. Margaret's jaw tightened, her control slipping in small, dangerous ways. As we filed out, she finally spoke to me. "You think you've won," she said quietly. "You have no idea what you're holding." I met her gaze. "I'm starting to." That afternoon, Eleanor pulled me aside. "Someone contacted my office anonymously," she said. "They claim to have information related to your parents' accident. They want a meeting. Tonight." My pulse spiked. "Who are they?" "They won't say." We agreed to meet at a small diner on the edge of town, neutral ground. I arrived first, choosing a booth where I could see the door. Minutes passed. Then the bell rang. A woman stepped inside. Mid-40s. Nervous. Familiar in a way I couldn't place. She slid into the booth across from me and took a deep breath. "I used to work for your aunt," she said. "Personal assistant. Years ago." My hands went cold. I didn't know what she was capable of back then, the woman continued. "But after Henry died, I recognized patterns. Payments. The same kind I saw before." "Before what?" I asked. "Before your parents' accident." The diner seemed to fade around us. "She didn't drive the car," the woman whispered. "But she made the call. She arranged the meeting that put them on that road." I couldn't breathe. "She thought Henry would leave everything to her after," the woman said, tears welling. "When he didn't, she panicked. And when you survived. She never expected that." My phone vibrated in my pocket. A new message. From Margaret. "We need to talk. Tonight. Alone." I looked back at the woman across from me, my world unraveling with every word she'd spoken. If I met my aunt tonight, I might finally hear the truth from her own mouth. Or I might be walking straight into the last trap she had left. And as I stood to leave the diner, I realized the next choice I made wouldn't just decide who won the inheritance, it would decide whether the truth ever made it out alive.